19 students, 2 teachers, they were murdered nearly 4 months ago, and today we're still waiting on so many answers about the effort to save their lives. And now we're trying to get answers from the director of the Texas Department of Public Safety in his first sit-down interview since that mass shooting.
Ariel Placencia joins us live from our newsroom this morning. And Ariel, he talked in that interview about accountability. He stopped short, though, of saying DPS was specifically responsible.
That's right, Mark. The second question, too, that reporter Tony Plahetsky asked the DPS director is if there's an apology to be made.
I'd be glad to apologize to the families on behalf of law enforcement because, as I've testified before, it was an abject failure. It violated all the principles that we've learned so much over the years. And, since post-Columbine in 1999, it's always been, with great urgency, you must locate, isolate, and neutralize.
Officers waited more than an hour in the hallway before going into the classroom. DPS had 91 troopers on the scene at Robb Elementary. 7 of them are now under investigation by the Inspector General's office and could face criminal charges. The interview with Steve McCraw is about 40 minutes long, so here are 3 main points from it. Number 1, McCraw said his DPS officers and troopers on the ground did not have accurate information about the situation, that at one point they were told it was a barricaded subject in an office. Number 2, he wishes his agency would have taken control over the police response, but he would not comment on if any law enforcement officers should be fired, just that he's disappointed they weren't as proactive. And finally, number 3, there's been so many questions about transparency and why he hasn't released video and audio from that day in full. McCraw maintained in this interview that the Uvalde County DA requested that DPS not release certain information. However, he did admit that DPS shares part of the blame.
We have some level of culpability, I've got no doubt. To the extent that the Department of Public Safety is responsible for the failed response, there's some things I just can't admit to simply because it's not true. And I'm not in position right now to try to defend what DPS did or not. It really doesn't matter what I say. In the end, what's going to matter is the evidence.
Now, if you're interested, we've got the full interview over on our website, WFAA.com. Sonia.
Ariel.